Praise God.
Amen.
Hallelujah.
Amen. God is in this place. You know, we are as Adventists, we are people trying our best to live the life God has given us in the teachings. And sometimes we miss a few things. You know, the Hindus will tell you that we follow the Bible closer than you are as Adventists. And one of it, we follow what Moses teaches us, right? When God encountered Moses, what did he ask him to do? That's right. I'm still trying to figure out where else does the Bible say we should wear our shoes in church. I haven't found it yet. I only found it where he asked us to take it off. Amen? And so there's so much that we can learn. In fact, as we have heard over and over, if you really want to reach the Hindus, you need to go back to the Bible. Not to Western culture, or the theologians that we read so much, and the other authors that tells us how to witness. We need to go back to the Bible, because the Bible has all the answers. And in fact, as we know, just like there's a lot of similarities between the African context and some things in the Bible, it's even closer in the Asian context. Because the Bible is written where? In Middle Eastern context. Okay, so there's my family. Our two boys, Peter and Paul. Peter, we went to the mission field, and Paul was born in the mission field, and so he still feels like a missionary. I want to spend my time talking about the experiences that I had and continue to have in witnessing to Hindus. And I pray that the case studies and some of the things that I share with you would not only inspire you, but provide you a framework, an opportunity to be able to connect with the Hindu community. You know, I was raised in an Adventist home. My parents weren't Adventists. My dad came from a Muslim background. You could tell from my name. Shamerudeen is a Muslim name. And my mom grew up in a Hindu Pentecostal home. And so today we still have family members from both sides of the world religions. And so for me as an Adventist, it was quite a struggle to be able to fit into the Adventist context, because as Adventists we have created a box. And that box, if you don't fit in, there's no room for you. You got to fit in, or you're out. And so I struggled as a teenager. How do I fit in? How do I, go to church on Sabbath with a tie on and my Bible in my hand, and I live in a Hindu community, and how do I fit into that world? And then one of the bigger challenges I had was how does the gospel come to my people? Yes, where do I start? They look like me, and we eat the same food, and when I go to church and people smile and they dress differently and they all look perfect. How do I share the gospel to my people? What is it that I have to take home from a church service that I can go back into my community and tell them Jesus loves you? When in fact they don't even want to hear about the word Jesus. Well, who is Jesus? And these are the things that I wrestled with as a young person. And today we still wrestle with it as a church. Because for Hindus, the church is for Christians, and the temple is ours. We have our own thing over here. Leave us alone. We're happy. We're not interested in conversion. I was on a plane from Hong Kong to New Delhi, and sitting next to me was a well-dressed young man in his suit and tie and everything, and he looked at me and he said, I'm just returning from a business trip from Hong Kong. My company sent me. And in this experience, as we sit next to each other, he looked at me and he said, so tell me about you. And we talked about family, and we talked about who we are. And he said, who are you? And I said, I'm a pastor. And of course I knew he was a Hindu because he talks about being a Hindu. And he said, I have a lot of questions. And I haven't been able to find a pastor to ask these questions to. Do you mind if I ask you some questions? And I said, Lord, help me. What is it that he wants to talk about? My friends, his first question was, why does Christians convert Hindus? Yes, that was his first question. Why do Christians convert Hindu? I look at him and I said, you know, my experience, this is a question I get asked a lot by Hindus. And so I wasn't totally surprised. So God has helped me to prepare it over time to answer his question. At the end of our discussion, he looked at me and he said, Pastor, I've never seen it from that perspective. And this man had a change in his heart because he was raised with that perspective. As a Hindu, this is what Christians do. And I told him, Christians don't convert Hindus. I don't have any power to convert anybody. And I told him, people follow Jesus Christ because it's a journey. It's not a conversion. Anyways, you can read more about that in the paper that I have written and so forth. I do have some videos for you. So let me take you to the island of Trinidad. Let's go back here. Okay, I guess that video is not there. Let me just play it off of the computer. An important video for you to watch. And so this video is talking about a project that we have. Anyways, I may come back to that video. It's a little hard to find right now. But the video, it highlights Christ's method. And so on the island of Trinidad, there were my family, and we were asked to witness the Hindus. And I recognized very quickly that Hindus are very polite people. They are respectful for religion because they're religious people. They're not evil. And so they have a high regard for religion. And they respect prayer. But there is something between the church and them. They would say, I will listen to you, I will listen to God, but I will not come to your church. They're afraid of Christians because they're taught that Christians are more concerned about baptism and changing them and convert them. And they have this feeling and experience and sometimes experience as well as knowledge that once you become a Christian, you lose your identity, you lose your family, you lose your values, and you become a worse person. Seriously, this is what Hindus believe. And so we started to pray, well, if we can't bring them to the church, how do we witness to them? Now, many of them can't come into the church because if they come into the church doesn't know how to accept it. I remember doing a Bible study with a Hindu. She married to an Adventist who left the church and came back when we were in Trinidad. And then one day she came to me crying. She said, Pastor, I don't know what to do. I came here and the church members are complaining because they said I'm taking over the church. And you know what she was involved with? She wanted to get involved. And the church member said, no, you just joined the church. You got to wait a few more years before you participate in Sabbath school. So we have a way of, remember what I said? We protect what we have. And so this woman was in tears. She said, I never expected to be treated like that. Well, things have changed, you know. The church have apologized, and today she is integrally part of the church. Can you imagine this woman went back to tell her Hindu neighbors, this is how the Christian church treats me. No wonder Hindus have this perception about how the church of God is. And so over time, we spent 3 months in prayer in Trinidad. I asked, how do we enter the community? So we went to this community, and the Hindus said, here you are, Christians. Oh, wonderful. Well, we have had 3 other churches have tried to plant a church here, and they have left. We assume that you will be the next one. And make matters worse, I went to meet the premier scholar in Trinidad. He's a Hindu, and he writes about Hinduism and culture. And I went to get some books to learn about the Hindus in Trinidad. And he looked at me and he said, are you a pastor? Yes, I'm a pastor. Which church are you from? The Adventist church. 7 days. Oh, I know about Adventists. He said, we Hindus are not afraid of you guys. What do you mean? We're not afraid of you. He said, you see, you guys don't know how to convert us. But you see, we're afraid of the Pentecostal. Because for some reason, they're taking over our people. I don't know what's going on, but there's been a wave of Hindus just leaving Hinduism and joining the Pentecostal church. But you Adventists, you don't know how to convert Hindus. So we're not afraid of you. Boy, I don't know, I was speechless. What do I tell this Hindu man, this Hindu scholar, you know, an anthropologist? He has a PhD in anthropology from Florida University. What do I tell him? I left there and I said, Lord help us as a church. Even the Hindus are not afraid. They're like, oh, these guys are... Anyways, and so we spent time in prayer, and I recognize that the problem is that we don't know how to engage Hindus. We preach well, we have good sermons, we have the health message, but we keep it to ourselves, or we put it on a shelf somewhere in a book, and we leave it there. And so I said, Lord, I need to start somewhere. And so why don't we start where the people are? And so I began with a center. There's our first center with my family. And I remember we opened up the doors, we paid the building, we rent a facility, we designed the entrance, and we opened the doors 6 days, 5 days a week. Sometimes 6 days. And we said, if we are interested in connecting with the Hindus, we need to be available. And there we are. We send out some flyers, and we share with the community that we are people that care. The Adventist Church cares. Really? Who are the Adventist Church? You know, we heard the names, but we don't know them. And so one by one, people started to come. We had computer classes, we had counseling, we had a variety of programs for the community. And I was amazed. Within 3 months, I got a call from the counselor. She's a Hindu. And she said, there's something taking place over there that we don't know much about, but we are interested. Would you mind coming helping us to go to another community to start one of these centers? Because somehow this center has touched lives that nobody else has been able to figure out how to do. I had a young man, a Hindu man, he is part of a Hindu association. And he came in the doors and he knocked, he said, I've been part of 3 clubs in this area, and they are corrupt, and I'm a Hindu. I noticed something different about this center. The report I get from my community members are different. Can I join this association? This is a Hindu young man, very, very intelligent young man. Teaching a computer class one day, and the community, the Hindu community found out, so they came and took the class. And sitting in the front row was a lady, and she sat there and she enjoyed the class. She went back to temple. And then she was telling me the testimony a few weeks later. And while she was at the Hindu temple, she was telling her friends, oh, I went to this computer class that are taught by Pastor Cliff. And while she's doing that, the rest of her friends overheard her discussion. And so they found out the address, and they came the next day. Sitting in front of me, 5 Hindu women. Now, by the way, I did a survey, and I thought I was going to get young people, you know, the ages of 20 to take computer class. But instead in front of me were grandparents who have come. I was shocked. Sometimes as Adventists, we do surveys in our board meeting, in our church, and we figure out what the community needs. How do we need to present the gospel? We got to listen to the people. And I did that. It's hard, going against traditions. But I remember specifically as they sat there quietly and they left, the next day, I noticed one of the husbands showed up. I had no idea what he's there to do. I'm just teaching, right? I have prayer, and I pray in a very respectful manner. And I teach about computers, but I teach from a perspective of the Bible. Because remember, all I know is the Bible. My worldview is shaped by the Word of God, nothing else. This man, at the end of the class, he came to me and he said, "Pastor, you don't know why I'm here. I came to inspect this class because my wife forced me to come. You see, I'm a Hindu, and very few people in my life has been able to convince me to do anything. If I don't make up my mind, no one else could convince me. But I came because my wife pushed me to come. And I came with the intention of trying to appease her so that I could never have to come back." Yes, that's what he's telling me, and I'm like, really? But he said there's something about this class that I'm convinced that I need to come every day. I don't know what you have done to convince me that I need to come back tomorrow and the next day. And this man had always sat to the front, and he was always on time with his wife. No, you're telling me computer class and convincing someone that they need to listen to Pastor Cliff? And I'm a Hindu. I want nothing to do with Christianity. I have everything I need in life. I'm retired. I have a fancy house. I have cars. I have grandchildren. What else do I need? What does Christianity has to offer me? But this man recognized that he has a void. And God is the one that spoke to him that day. Okay, so here's our video.
One of the largest Hindu temples in the country is just a few short blocks from this center. As visitors pass by on the street, their curiosity is piqued by this sign, and they go in to see what is happening. Many people who come inside find a variety of services aimed at meeting the needs of this community.
At the Life Home Center, before we started any course, we did a needs assessment, and we found out that the children here are not good readers. And so we targeted the children, and we also targeted the parents because the children were concerned with them. So we have the math class, we have the homework class, and we have the preschool going here every week. And then we had people who was diabetic and needed a new lifestyle, and we started the health fitness class. So basically, every day, 4 times in the week, we are here with all those classes that I just mentioned.
Some children in this community are not able to attend public schools because they don't have the proper documentation. For them, the Life Hope Center is their only hope to receive something similar to a formal education. Children ages 6 to 15 come to learn to read and write, to develop math skills, and to receive physical and spiritual training. For adults, fitness and healthy living classes are offered to increase longevity and to fight off disease. Many have benefited from the courses, and as they leave, they display a new and positive outlook on life.
I was feeling sick, and with the exercise and the control of the diet, I stuck my tablet and I'm feeling healthy. Things I couldn't do, I'm doing now. At the age of 55, I thought it was impossible. And I must say thanks to all members of the Life Hope Center for this opportunity, because I've learned a lot. I have learned to become a nicer person too, have a lot more patience, which I didn't have before. It helped me in more ways than one.
In addition to intellectual and physical training, some people have found hope in Jesus at the Brickfield Life Hope Center. Now it's quite normal for the staff to receive requests for spiritual counseling and Bible lessons. In this community, the center's holistic approach has proven priceless.
And we believe in mingling with the people, mixing with them, befriending them by offering different courses, things that they need. Some of the changes I have seen is that some of these They asked us to pray for them. We are having Bible studies with them. And we even raised a church because of the center. We now have 25 persons.
Please pray for the Brickfield Life Hope Center in Trinidad as they work to befriend, serve, and win the confidence of people in the region.
My friends, I wanted to ask you an important question. What is the difference between the church and the Life Hope Center? In Trinidad, I did this quite a bit. I would bring pastors and leaders from all over the world, whenever they visit, to come to the Life Hope Center. And before they get to the center, I would stop at a particular shop. And I would tell them to go and ask the person, where's the Life Hope Center? I sit in the car, and Pastor Umesh has had that experience. If any of you have come to Trinidad, I will take you to that experience as well. And so while I'm in the car, the person would go, and they would, the Pastor Umesh shared his story when we were in Mauritius doing the training there just a few days ago. And he told 500 people there in Mauritius. I went and asked this person, right? It was a woman, right? The shopkeeper. Where's the Life Hope Center? And her eyes lit up. And she told them, and she told him, oh, it's down the road, this place on that side and whatever. And besides that, she also told him what classes that she have attended and how it has blessed her family. And this is a Hindu. And there are other stories, I don't know if it happened to you, but others have said that the shopkeeper also was ready to convince this pastor, Adventist pastor, to join the Life Hope Center. Yes. Now Hindus have actually adopted the center. They said this is our center. This is not belongs to the Adventist church, it belongs to us. And that took 3 years to happen. It didn't happen overnight. My friends, what is the difference between the church and the Life Hope Center? Let me help you. Who runs the church? Adventist, right? It's not a trick question. Who runs the Life Hope Center? Adventist, right? So what is the difference between the two? The Hindus will come to the center, but they will now come to the church. They said that's for Christians. But the center, they will come there. They will come for prayer. They'll come for Bible studies. They'll come for help, healing. They bring their children. So what is the difference between the two? I'll leave you to think about that. 3 case studies. Here's some challenges. Before I get to that, here's some challenges. I mentioned one of them, conversion, baptism. Christianity is a low-caste religion, and this is not just true for India. It's true in other places as well. Superior tone is another issue we face with Hindus. Let's see, I have another video.
Church pastor was regularly visiting a woman's house for Bible study. She liked to read Bible and prayer, but never visited a church before. On pastor's invitation, she joyfully entered church and was excited to listen the word of God. Pastor announced for Holy Communion and invited church for feet washing ceremony. Woman curiously asked, "Shall I also?" "Of course, yes, 100%. It was a new experience for her. She wants to be a part of the ceremony. One of the church members approached her for feet washing. When the member saw a new woman wearing Hindu traditional ornaments, unlike other regular church members, she gave a weird look. But not just her. Few other members also made nasty remarks and grumbled. After the ceremony, everyone continued with the prayer. At this point, she paused and looked sadly into the church as if recalling every hurtful moment. The new woman went away and never turned back.
My friends, this is the reality we face as a church. When Hindus are coming to Christ, we haven't figured out how to embrace them in the body of Christ. And by the way, that symbol is a marriage symbol. So we are concerned about removing marriage symbols to bring Hindus to Christ. Is that what Jesus Christ has asked us to do? No. I have another paper that I wrote on this issue. Here's a case study, and this is an exciting one because this actually happened in South Africa. Where's my South African brothers? There you are. This is for you. Thank you for the work you do in South Africa.
I came here in 2010. I came here. I came from a youth background. And a friend of mine, a school friend of mine, introduced me to this church. I never knew an Adventist church actually existed. But from the time she introduced me, I came in one Saturday, and I said, you know what, this church was totally different from any other church that I've been to, a gospel church. And when I stepped in here, it's like every week on a Saturday, I look forward in coming to this church. And when I came in the second and the third, and it continued, and I found that, God has touched me in so many ways that He took me out of my abusive marriage. And it was difficult, but God saw me through. I also rented in many places. People prayed for me. Uncle Arno was a person who never left me. He prayed and gave me confidence. He told me, you know what? Never give up. You're in the right place. Vivian, Pastor Paul, Cliff, Ruben, all of them, Atikamna, all of them stood by my side. And they gave me inspiration. When I came here, they gave me guidance. They introduced me who Jesus Christ was. And from there onwards, my whole life changed. I went for Bible studies and stuff like that. And I know this year is going to be a good year because I overcame all my problems. I've become stronger. And today I can stand on my feet and say, you know what, God has given me, He placed me in this church for a reason. He made me a stronger mother, a stronger person. And He even gave me this job in the Twinkle Star Creche. And today it's an Adventist creche, and it's a Christian-based creche. And I am proud to stand here and say, you know what, God has done so much good for me in my life. And I'm not backing out of this place.
Tell us what you're doing with the kids right now.
Okay, I do a lot of Bible stories with them. Kids from the Hindu background. Parents came to us and told us don't teach them, but you know what? Something touched these little children and told, you know what? They want to learn. They are so happy learning the Christian stories that they don't worry about the Tom and Jerry or the Three Bears story. They want to know what Noah's Ark is all about and Adam and Eve. Stories like that. They are extremely happy learning and being in Twinkle Star. And I think there's a lot of people who's referring other people to us because of the way we teach. We've got a lot of patience with the children. We've got a lot of time for them. I'm more like a mother, not a teacher actually. I'm more like a mother to these children. I've got a lot of patience with them, and I love each and every one equally in this place.
My friends, I think it's probably maybe last year or a year and a half since I went to South Africa and interviewed this Hindu mother. And on this particular day, she hasn't got baptized yet. She was going to get baptized the next Sabbath after I left. And so there she is. She's a Hindu who accepted Christ. And you know what she said? She said, this year, I have overcome all of my problems. Do you know why she said that? It's because for her as a Hindu, she cannot get baptized until she had dealt with some of the issues she had. She needed time. And she told me that. She didn't say that on camera, but she said, look, I want to get baptized, but I have some things I need to work out between me and God. And I think I'm ready. Amen? And you know, and she said it, she was teaching the Hindu children. And she referred to them as Hindus, because for her she's no longer a Hindu. Even though she hasn't got baptized yet. Praise God.
Amen.
Some barriers and also bridges of communication that we have. Culture can be a bridge of communication, but they also can be a barrier. Way of life. For Hindus, it's a way of life. It's not a theology, it's not a religion, it's a way of life. Values. Their family values. Let me ask you a question. Why do we convert one Hindu in a family instead of the whole family? Where did we get that? The Bible did never teach us that. Hindus live as a family. Why don't we present the gospel to a family instead of one individual in the home? And why do we allow one person to get baptized without the family support? These are critical questions, because when they come into the church and we don't consider the family, we have taken away that mission of that person, of that Hindu. They come in and they become members. And they can't go back to the community because we have taken away everything that they have in their family system, including their cultural identity. And many Hindus in the church today, I've met them all over the world, they sit there lifeless because they can't go back. We've taken away their culture, we've taken away their values, we take away their dress, their food, their identity. And we said, now you are a member of the Adventist church, stay here until Christ comes. Is that what Christ has asked us to do? It's time for us to relook at that. Sense of duty. My time, I have 2 minutes. Yes. I could have 10 more. Thank you. My friends, as a church, the Hindus are waiting. I have met Hindus after Hindus. Let me tell you another story, because the stories help us to understand how to connect with the Hindu community. As I was in Trinidad and reflect on my past, growing up in the Adventist church and have my Hindu neighbors, my family, these are family members to me. Just a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, we went to visit our Hindu, my auntie is a Hindu in Canada. And I took my wife and our family and we went there and spent time with our Hindu neighbors. And I started to think about this issue that we as a church, you see, we believe that as a church we cannot pollute ourselves with Hindus, because Hindus are idol worshippers, they eat all kinds of things, they smell differently. We need to stay away, but we need to present the gospel to them. And so in the churches, as I do training in Trinidad and around the world, I've been asked this question: should we mingle with Hindus? No, we can't eat their food, because their food are offered to idols. Some of us need to go back and study the Bible. So our theologians here, we need to help our church members to study the Bible, because nowhere have I read that the food offered to idols that we should not touch. What did Paul say? These are nothing. They have no value. The only time we need to be concerned is if they're going to make a church member turn away from God and their mission. That's the only time. But I have guaranteed you, if you go to any church today and you ask them, the first question that we just asked in Mauritius, Pastor, should we stay away from the food offered to idols? No. When a Hindu gives you an invitation and you say no, you know what have happened? You have just killed the mission God has given you. Because for Hindus, when they invite you, you bring blessings to their home. Visitors bring blessings. How much of us want to take away blessings from a Hindu? But that's what we do. So I was known as the pastor who visited Hindu families in Trinidad. So when I get an invitation through the Life Hope Center, many of the Hindus would say, Pastor, can you come to my home? I have a puja. I want you to come. It's an honor to have you in our home. And so after church, many times they have it on Sundays or Sabbath, so I preach at church, and right after church, I said, Pastor, we know you have to preach on Sabbath. That's okay. You preach, because the pundit is coming at 10 o'clock. By the time he finishes at 12, you will finish preaching, and then you can come to our home. So the Hindus figure out how to get me to their home. So don't worry, we don't want to disturb your sermon, you got to preach. So when you finish this, come to our home. So I took my family, I didn't announce to the church, right? Imagine Pastor Cliff is going to the puja right after the church service when he finished preaching a powerful sermon. That would create chaos in the church. So I quietly, I didn't announce, I just went. Took my family, and I remember walking into that home. This is the same lady that called me yesterday in tears, that has diagnosed with 3-block artery. And as I walked into that home, the pandit was gone. The people that are sitting there are the family members and the community. You know, they invite the entire community to come and to celebrate with them as they have their puja. Now, puja, Thanksgiving service, right? Giving God thanks for another year. I was shocked. First I got to meet the children because I'd never met her children before. They're married and they have their own family. So they came there. I was shocked. She went to them and said, this is Pastor Cliff, who I've been telling you about for the last 3 months. Here's his family. When she finished, she took me to every neighbor who sat there eating and fellowshipping. This is my pastor. Here's Pastor Cliff. Pastor Cliff, can you help us? I have a Christian neighbor, and I invite him to my home when I have puja, and they would not come. Well, we are friends. I respect Christians, but why are they not coming to my home? Did I do something wrong? But you came to my home, but my Christian neighbors would not come. So I'm back to the point I was saying. Hindus are waiting for us to come to them with the gospel. We should not allow culture and our misunderstanding of the Bible to be the barrier.